Hey, what's up, guys? So a lot of you guys have been messaging me about that Paintball POD filler, the instructions, the video that I sent. So the instructions are pretty lengthy. I know some of you guys don't want to read all of that, so I decided I'll just make a video to make it a little bit easier for you guys to follow along if you want to do this yourself. So first off, yeah, the whole bin is actually pretty expensive. It's like, depending on where you got it, I got it off Amazon. It was $120 shipped to my door. The vendor link is $80, I believe, 89. I don't know what their shipping fees are, so it could just equal out to the same thing. Either way, I'm just going to show you how to modify this so you don't have to read that whole description over and over again. And if you plan to do this, you can just follow this video. So right out of the box, the way your spout's going to work is basically when you pull it down, it's going to open this little trap door on the inside. And when you close it, it'll close the door from the top. And then it's going to open from the bottom, allowing whatever it's meant to feed come out. So the way we want to modify it is so when we open the door, it just continues to feed. So we don't have to keep pumping this thing back and forth every time we want to feed a pod. So the first thing I'm going to do, take off this little rubber spout. Set this aside. We're going to use this later, or at least the way I modified mine. I use it later. If you decide not to use it, that's perfectly fine. Just keep it anyways. So in the description, I mentioned to take off this cap first and then pull this whole assembly out and start working on it with this. In this way, I'm actually gonna do it a different way, trying to keep the assembly in here because this little trap door is actually pretty fragile. This is actually the original one I had, so I ended up cracking it right along here. It actually broke off this whole piece and I kind of super glued it back on. So I'm actually going to keep it inside this assembly housing just to kind of keep it safe. So you less likely run the chance of cracking it and having to buy a replacement. Replacements aren't too bad. I think this handle assembly was $25. Their shipping was kind of expensive. It was $16, but it came in a couple days. So the first thing is we got to pop these clips off. So these clips are pretty hard. I don't know if maybe I'm just an idiot and I'm not, opening this the right way, but what I had to do was take a little flathead and just kind of pry the little nubs until they were a little bit thinner, so you can probably see all those like scratches in there. I don't know how visible that is, but basically you just want to get it thin enough where you can push it through and pull it off. And from here, actually goes in one way. So now you can pop this clip off. So this side is pretty easy. You can do it with your hands. You don't need the screwdriver. And then you can pop this whole assembly out. So this little insert thing, it's called the portion control. That's what opens and closes to allow a certain amount get fed out. So we don't need this. You can toss this. Again, save it anyways in case you ever, need this for whatever reason. And so now you're left with the little cylinder, the door, I should say, that opens and closes. So in the description, I mentioned that you can toss this little spring and disc. So this little disc is actually kind of hard to get out. I ended up breaking that little clip in there the first time I did it. But actually, so I found out that you can actually reassemble this with the same orientation and actually keep the closing function. So what I had to do, let me see. So there's this little nub or little thing. It looks basically like this, but on this side. So I cut that down so it's flat. And then on this guy, there's a nub here and I cut that down as well. Just so that this will open all the way. If you don't do it this way, it'll actually only open maybe 3/4 of the way. So I'd recommend cut that nub, and now you can reassemble it. This goes down here. So without that little nub in the middle, this actually gets a little floppy, but you can still make it work. And now the next thing we want to do is actually assemble this, but with the door facing down. So handle up, door down. Originally, I don't think I showed this, but it was like this. So the door's on the top, it would close at the top. The reason why you don't want to do that, if it's not obvious enough, is if it's like this, right? You have your pod down here. I don't got a pod I can grab, actually. We'll use a 50-round pod. So with the door on the top, you fill your pod, open it, feed it, close it. Or actually, it's gonna go this way. Feed it, and then when you close it, all the paint's still gonna be on the inside here, and that's just all gonna spill out. So what we want to do is close it from the bottom, just so that there's less balls that is gonna be in this open space, and it'll scoop whatever is at the very top. So, do that. So with that assembled basically in this orientation, remember, door at the bottom, handle at the top. Put it all back together. And with the spring in that disc, so now the handle will close, or open and close all the way. Before, I hope this is visible. Let's see. So before, if you didn't cut those nubs, it would probably only open to like right about here. Which you could probably still make work, but why settle for less when you can have it open all the way? So now, when you go to fill your pod, you'll open it, it'll feed full, close it. So you're gonna have this little space here still, and that'll probably be like 4 or 5 balls, sorry, not pods, 4 or 5 balls, which you don't want to waste. The whole point of this is to be as spill-free as possible. So what I ended up doing was cutting this flat, actually. Before you reassemble, sorry guys, before you reassemble, that's when you want to modify this. So what I did was I cut it straight down so that this side is flush with the cylinder right here. And then I used maybe a 1/4 inch cut off here, and then I just glued it butt to butt like that. And then I can actually show you that. So this is the piece that I did correctly. Nothing broken, so pop this up. So you can see I cut it pretty much flat here, or flush with the cylinder, just kind of as straight across as I could with the Dremel. And then with that rubber piece I had, I glued it on here, and then once that's all dried and good to go, you'll attach this back on, test functionality, make sure it works properly, and when that's good, you can start trimming this rubber piece little by little until you get just enough where it overfills the pod enough that when you scoop it, a little bit, will be at the top. You grab it, shake it, tap it a little to kind of settle it all, and then close it, and it should be pretty much tight. If anything, it might be 1 or 2 extra balls, which then whoever's packing the pod can just throw it right back into the bin. One thing I added was this little lip back here. So this came as a suggestion from somebody. Originally I didn't even think about it, but it just makes it easier so you can just throw it on. You don't have to try to like align it with the mouth at all. It'll just do it all for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It works pretty well. Haven't even tried it yet just because of this whole Corona stuff going on. So hopefully when that's all over and we're all back on the field, we'll see how well it works. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm down to help anybody. This is pretty cool. It came from an 11-year-old video I saw on YouTube that I'll link below. And it works pretty well. Again, it's pretty pricey, but if you're in a team environment, it helps fill pods pretty quick. I can get about 6 pods in under 40 seconds. And that's just me doing it. If I had someone else that could pack it while I filled it, so that could be even quicker. Yep. Awesome. Thanks guys. I hope this helped. Have fun. Be safe.